Okay, we're going to look in this tutorial of how to make prototypes in Adobe Experience Design, or Adobe XD as it's referred to. And in previous tutorials we looked at how you would lay up your design work, grid systems, and working with artboards to represent screens. And now we're going to move on to how you would make a clickable prototype. So to just demonstrate this, I have downloaded a design job by Dann. He's a really good designer, got a good YouTube channel where he just discusses lots of issues to do with digital design, and also, follow him on Twitter. I'm here with XD Guru, which is a resources website for Adobe Experience Design. And it's growing really fast. There's lots of free resources on here, guidance and tips about using this program to prototype and do design, digital design work for. And it's growing fast, so as more and more people are starting to use it, the resources are growing. So I've just downloaded this design job, and we're going to have a look at it to see how it's been laid out and how the interaction or the clickable prototype has been created. Okay, so here it is. I've downloaded it and opened it up, and again, people are familiar with downloading or receiving design jobs. You'll find at the bottom here it says it's missing fonts. Now sometimes you can deal with that and you can get the font because it's available online, or sometimes it may not be and you may have to have a substitute font so the design doesn't basically collapse. But so what you would do is sort that out. Okay, so what I will do is just go through here. So how it's laid out, and we've looked at this before, is you need to be really organized when you're laying anything out in design work, and more importantly, certainly if you're laying out some digital design where you're doing screen mock-ups or concepts that either you're going to then code up using script or you're going to make a native application with them. They need to be really structured. You need to name and everything properly and appropriately, and it needs to have a good structure. So you need to know that if you're going to later on do that, so you don't get in a muddle and forget what you were trying to do. And also, more importantly, digital designers pass on these sort of jobs, design jobs, for programmers to then lay up. So it's important that it has clarity so there's no misunderstanding of what you're trying to do. Now you'll see on here it's got various artboards. They're all named nicely. They're laid out in a really good structure. Also, you'll see here there's variants of it. So we've got desktop screens, also screens for iPads, and also there's screens for mobile devices. And you'll see here some of them are longer than others. So this gives you an opportunity to scroll on those pages. So this just gives you an idea of how to structure your digital design for your screens. Now what we'll do is we'll look at prototyping. So all I'll do is I'll just zoom in here so we can see what's going on. And again, if you're using a trackpad, that's pretty easy to zoom in. If you haven't got a trackpad, you can use Command minus and plus on an Apple Mac, or Control minus and plus on a PC. And we've zoomed in. Also, once you've done that, you can hold the space bar down and click and move around to the appropriate section you're looking at. Now what we'll do is we'll go up to the top left and click on prototype. Now once we've done that, we're in the prototype workspace. And if I come down here and click on this screen, you will see all these sort of, a bit like spaghetti, all these strings pointing to where the links are. So this has already been linked up, and you'll see here everything is linked. Now it's pretty simple to make links. I'll just remove one back, and all you do is click on the appropriate asset you want to have made into a link, and you drag it and drop it, and then you would it would give the name of the target screen, and then also you've got transitions, and you've got eases, and you've got how long it takes. So pretty easy to do that. Okay, so we're going to have just a practical task of how you would do that with your own design job, and how the functions work in Adobe Experience Design to make a clickable prototype. Okay, so here I've created 3 screens. There's just a landing page, a home page, a gallery selection, and then once you click on one of those boxes or images, thumbnails, you end up going onto a page where you can see the image larger, and also there's a button to get back again. So we'll see how that works. So these have been laid out, and you will see across here they've been named appropriately, home, gallery, large image, but always make sure you have a sort of a naming method and make sure everything is named. And when we click on here, you've got the components. Now also it's a good idea to certainly to name your components. I've just left them here as their default settings, but really if you're doing a real design job, make sure you name these appropriately so they make sense. Okay, so first of all, I need to make a link. So this is going to be a button, and I want that to link to this page where the gallery is, and then I'm going to have one of these thumbnails link into the larger image, and then I'm going to have this black button here going back to where I started. So I need to click on the prototype. And again, you can select anything, you don't have to select it beforehand. And once you've got that, you'll see what we had before, where we've got this little tab here, and you would pull that out and drop it to the screen where you would want it to go. Now if you look here, you've got the target, and as we've seen before, this will bring up all the other options that you can link to. It won't have the link itself because it can't link to itself here, but basically you've got that. So I can link to gallery, which I've already pointed to, or I could come along and do another one. It will automatically go to that. Now that's a good idea once you've got lots and lots of screens, because sometimes dragging out these links can be very cumbersome, and it might be a lot easier if you then specify where you want it to go. It makes it more straightforward than trying to drag around with lots and lots of screens. Okay, so you'll see here it's got the target, which we've resolved, and then we've got the transition. Now on here, as default, it's got dissolve. You can have your screen sliding left or right or up and down, and also you can have it pushing across. So this is where, like one screen pushes across another, push left, push down with the screen below. Okay, so we'll just leave it on dissolve, and also you'll see ease in and ease out. Now what that does is, if you know anything about animation, ease out means that it starts off at a normal speed, and then just before the next screen arrives, it slows down. Ease in is the other way around. It'll start off slowly and speed up to a normal speed. Ease in and out is it will start up slowly, go to a normal speed, and then slow down again once it gets to the end of the animation. And then you can also have none, which will just appear. So also you can change how long these transitions last. Now if you want more information on easing in and out, okay, here's a really good guide, and this is on Google Developers under the Web Fundamentals, and it has lots of information about animations, and this page here will cover certainly linear, ease in, ease out, and it'll explain how to use them. Now it's important you get the concepts and the main principles, and mainly because you will use these in GUI programs like we're doing here, but also more importantly, if you're using cascading style sheets and you're doing animation with those, you will need to have those, how you're going to transform, how long it's going to take, and what type of transformation you're going to do. So it's important you become familiar with that if you're going to use that in any design work or certainly front-end development. Okay, here we are back in the design. Now what you will notice is each time you get in this selecting something as the main screen, you'll see a little homepage icon up here, little house, and that means that's the main screen, and then you're going to link to another screen. Now what I need to do here is just select this box top left, and I need to then drag it out and link to here. Again, what I will do is change default to something like push right to give you an idea how that changes, and it's got ease in, ease out. I'll just leave that the way it is. Now what I need to do now is go into the third screen, and I need to link this back to where I started, and again I'll just do something like a push up. Okay, so what I've done is everything's all linked together, and you can go on these screens and see where their targets are for other screens and which direction they're going in as well. Okay, so now I'll just go back to the home screen here. Now I'm still on Prototype Workspace, and I go up to the top here and I click on Desktop Preview, and this will open up. It gets rid of the clutter, mainly because I've been using this on an Apple Mac in full screen, so it opens up like this with the blacked out background. And if I click on here, it will take me to the next screen, and I click here, it will do that, and then I click here. So you can see the transitions of how they change. So we've made this clickable prototype. Now I'll get out of the full screen mode and click here, and what you'll see is it's put it in this little window. So if I just go back to the starting point, now the good thing you can do here is you can click on the record button and it'll start to record. So you got this little preview mode where it's got this little, the icon has changed, so when it knows something can touch or click, it does that. And what you can do is you can record how the interactions work, and then you can put that, maybe if you're documenting that or showing it to a client, or you just want to know how it works, you can use that. If I click on here and it stops, then what you can do is then name it, and it will save it as a movie file, and we've got that. Okay, so that's a really cool feature, certainly for user testing or for promotional purposes. Now, the other thing you can actually do is you can plug it in to a device. So you might need to have the XD app for either Android or iOS, and you plug that in, and that will then be recognized, and you'll be able to preview it in real time on a device that's plugged into your computer, which again, that's an excellent way of testing it. Certainly if you want to test anything how that uses touch, the best bet is not to use it by someone using a mouse on a desktop. It's always important to get them to test it out actually on the device itself to get, you know, a full indication of their interaction with that interface.